Hello. Today I'm going to give you an update on the FAFSA beta testing, which is scheduled to begin the third phase this coming Friday on November 1. But I'm going to let you know what has happened prior to that date, the information released by the Department of Education. So sit tight and I'll get right to it. Okay, so the first slide I am going to show you is what the Department of Education has given as their commitment to keeping everyone updated. Only it's really not everyone, because this information is contained on their data partners website, which technically on the web almost anyone has access to. It's not password protected, but it's not being broadcast to the general public. But you can read here that they are committed to transparency about the progress of the 2025-2026 FAFSA beta testing, blah, 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 blah. If you scroll to the very end, this line here is the one that is most important to everyone. It's the one that reads, "There continue to be no critical bugs blocking submission." Again, there continue to be no critical bugs blocking submission. That means the issues that they encountered last year with the FAFSA have not reared their ugly heads this year. But it is interesting that they say no critical bugs. It obviously, there with any software, there's always a bug or two here or there. It's just that there isn't anything that causes it to crash or students not to be able to submit their data. And that is probably due to a lot of the fixes that they had made up to this point. Now I'm going to show you the numbers of the participants in phase two. As you know, phase one was completed about 2 weeks ago. That was the one that had less than 1,000 students. This particular phase two, had more than 1,000. And phase three, which again starts this Friday, is supposed to have 10,000 or above. So let me show you this here, and we'll go over the data because it's a little interesting. Those updates that they provided, stop. Let's go back. Okay, one other thing that I'm going to show you that's also on the website is we expect to continue to update data every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout the beta process. I can say that they have not held to that promise. They have reported on Monday and Friday, but not Wednesday. And today is Tuesday, and there wasn't an update yesterday. So the last update was Friday, the 25th. So now I'm going to show you in three separate slides what they've posted about how things are going. Okay, I have done a, well, it's not side by side, it's top and bottom share of the 1021 update and the 1025 update. And you're going to have to allow me to put my glasses on here. So you can see in the 1021 update, the participating students were 2,830. On the 25th, there was 3,045, because as these community-based organizations and high schools and other groups that were invited to participate in this, they generally hold their sessions over multiple nights. So they'll report the data from days 1 and 2, and then there may be a third day. And then that's what gets updated. So that's what we have here. So the participating contributors went from 2,020 to 2,280. Obviously, the number of participating organizations and the number of institutions of higher education, which is what the IAG stands for, that wasn't going to change. So it wasn't a significant bump up, but it was a few hundred more students participated. But this is where the data is going to get interesting. So let me go to the next one to show you. Now on this one, this is the user surveys. So they survey the students, their parents, guardians, the contributors. So on the 1021 update, the satisfaction rate was 93%, and that remains the same in the 1025 update. The reasonable time, which you read here, percentage of users who upon completion respond strongly, agree, or agree to the question, it took a reasonable amount of time to complete. That dropped a little bit on the 1025, dropped 2 percentage points down to 87. So that's not so bad. 87 is still a pretty good number. You would like to see it higher, but that may be still not necessarily issues with the FAFSA itself. It's just that if this is the first time that a student has had to fill out this kind of application, they're just not accustomed to it. So it can be a bit confusing. So they're giving you information, but they're not giving you complete information. Surprise, it's the Department of Education. So this is where we are. So I'm going to show you one last one. And now this last one that I'm going to show you is the one that I found a little perplexing. And I don't know if someone mispunched the numbers and didn't catch it, but the numbers, the math isn't mathing, as they say these days. It's the outcomes. It's the completed product. So the 1021 update, there were 2,145 forms submitted. For the 1025 update, there were 2,270 forms submitted. So again, because there are additional sessions, you would expect that number to go up because more students and their contributors, their family, have submitted forms. Makes perfect sense. I'm with them so far. This is where they lose me. ISRA's delivered, that's institutional student information records. That is when a student and their family complete the form, it's processed, it's generated, and it's sent to the college university for processing. That's where a lot of the huge problems came from last year. So for 1021, it was 10,803. That was with 2,145 students. Here, it's 10,140 with additional students having participated. The math isn't mathing here. Either someone punched some numbers in wrong and didn't double check it, but something doesn't seem to make sense here. As I said, this was the 1025 update. It's now 1029, and thus far there has not been another one. Hopefully, maybe there'll be one on Wednesday ahead of Beta 3 processing starting on Friday. Okay, so those 3 slides show you where things are at this point with the completion of phase 2 of beta testing. As I said earlier, phase 3 is scheduled to start this Friday. I should have a preliminary update for you somewhere around November 8th, 10th, and then I'll probably have a subsequent one on a week later, depending on how the information flows out. Now, I can say I have spoken with the director of one of the community-based organizations that is participating in phase 3, and he has been uber impressed with the way the Department of Education has been, excuse me, keeping in contact with them. And when I say the Department of Education, I mean, I'm really talking about the higher ups. He's had direct calls from both James Kwok and Jeremy Singer, who's on loan from the College Board. So for right now, it appears that everything is on track for the 2025-2026 FAFSA to launch on or before December 1st. My guess is December 1st because there's a holiday in there. Thanksgiving is late this year, so I imagine it's probably going to be December 1st, but it could be a day or two before that. If anything changes, if I get any information that indicates otherwise, I will let you know. If you'd like to read about these next 2 phases, phases 3 and 4, which are going to have significantly more participants, 10,000 and up, which will be a more reasonable test of the system and the application and its functionality, I will drop the links to in the description, and you can read those. So that's it for right now. I will be back as soon as I can with any new information. Go out and have a great day. And remember, education is a journey. Let's take it together.